Namaste. According to modern scientists, the science started its innovative age when Newton formulated his legendary findings. But in India, the infancy of science refers to a period when Vedic masters developed the concept of teacher, the ideal relationship between teacher and a student. The Mahabharata states that education gives unfailing insight and is an agent for ensuring good character and behavior. The Rig Veda also realized that if one human being was superior to another, it was not because of the person had an extra hand or eye, but because education had sharpened his mind and intellect and rendered him more efficient. Swami Vivekananda, he was attending a religious conference in Chicago in United States of America in the year 1893. On 19 September he said, "The Vedas teach that creation is without a beginning or an end. Science is said to have proved that sum of total of cosmic energy is always the same. Then if there was a time when nothing existed, where was all this manifested energy? Some say it was in potential form in God. In that case, God is sometimes kinetic, sometimes potential, which would make him mutable. Everything mutable is a compound, and everything compound must undergo the change which is called destruction. That means God would die, which is absurd. Therefore, there never was a time when there was no creation." This observation of Swamiji motivated me to go for a search for scientific truths already established by modern researchers and yet to reveal by them in our ancient manuscripts. Today I am starting with Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter, 12th shloka. Na tvevaham jatunasam na tvam neme janatipaha na chaiva na bhavishyamaha sarve vayamataha param. Its translation is, never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. This is nothing but conservation of energy, which states that energy can neither be created nor destroyed, only can be transformed from one form to another. 2nd chapter, 17th shloka. Avinashi tu dadvithi yena sarvamitam tatam vinashamavyasyasya na kaschit kartumarhati. Its translation is, know that which pervades the entire body is indestructible, no one is able to destroy the imperishable soul. Again, conservation of energy. Energy can neither be created nor destroyed, only can be transformed from one form to another. Chapter 2, Shloka 20. Again, you can observe law of conservation of energy here. न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचित् नायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूयः अजो नित्यः शाश्वतोऽयं पुराणः न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे. Its translation is, for the soul there is never birth nor death, nor having once been does he ever cease to be. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, undying and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. Chapter 2, 53rd shloka. Shruti vipratipannate yedastyatsyati nischala samadhavachala buddhihi tada yogamavapsasi. Translation: when your mind is no longer disturbed by the flowery language of the Vedas, and when it remains fixed the trance of self-realization, then you will have attained the divine consciousness. Compare this with basic fact of magnetism. The magnetic moments of different molecules are oriented randomly so that the total magnetic induction of the field produced by them is zero, cancelling out each other's effect. But when a magnetic field is applied, the magnetic moments of individual molecules are reoriented in the direction of applied field, generating a net magnetic induction. Chapter 2, 58th Shloka. यदा संहरते चायं कूर्मोऽङ्गानिव सर्वशः इन्द्रियाणीन्द्रियार्थेभ्यः तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता. Its translation: one who is able to withdraw his senses from sense objects, as the tortoise draws his limbs within the shell, is to be understood as truly situated in knowledge. This one is a beautiful narration of reflex reaction. Chapter 2, Shloka number 70. Apuryamana machalapratishtam samudramapah pravishanti yadvat tadvat kamayam pravishanti sarve sa shanti mapnoti na kamakami. Its translation is: a person who is not disturbed by the incessant flow of desires that enter like rivers into the ocean, which is ever being filled but always still, can alone achieve peace, and not the man who strives to satisfy such desires. A clear information and confirmation that if you add anything to infinity, it will remain infinite. Chapter 3, 5th Shloka. नहि कश्चित् क्षणमपि जातो तिष्ठत्य कर्मकृत् कार्यत्येह्यवशः कर्म सर्वः प्रकृतिचैर्गुणैः. Translation: all men are forced to act helplessly according to the impulses born of the modes of material nature. Therefore, no one can refrain from doing something, not even for a moment. Newton's first law is comparable to this. Every body continues in its state of rest or of uniform motion unless it is compelled by an external force to change that state. Chapter 8, 15th Shloka. Mapupetya punarjanma dukkhalayamashashvatam napnuvandi mahatmanaha samsiddhim paramam gataha. Translation: after attaining me, the great souls who are yogis in devotion never return to this temporary world, which is full of miseries, because they have attained the highest perfection. The difference between paramagnetism and ferromagnetism. The magnetization of ferromagnetics is retained even in the absence of external field, while the magnetization of dia and paramagnetics exists only in the presence of an external field. Chapter 13, 17th Shloka. Avibhaktam cha bhuteshu vibhaktamiv cha sthitam bhudabartru cha tatnyeyam grasishnu prabhavishnu cha. Translation: although the super soul appears to be divided, he is never divided. He is situated as one. Although he is the maintainer of every living entity, it is to be understood that he devours and develops all. Modern scientists termed this super soul concept as atom. That's it for today. You can write your comments on this topic. Namaste.